Hey everybody, Rockin Robbie Billups here for Pop Culture Philosophers, and it's time for Robbie Rants. And there was some major DC Rebirth stuff going on this week, so let's talk about that. Alright guys, 3 comic books this week had some major implications for the future of DC Rebirth. If you're following the whole Watchmen in the DC universe type thing, this is what we're talking about here. I mentioned these comic books in my weekly comic book review, but I didn't really spoil them. I don't really do that on that show, so I'm going to warn you right now, spoilers for some comic books that I'm about to talk about. First up, Action Comics 976. This was the final part of Superman Reborn. It was written by Dan Jurgens. It had art by Doug Mahnke. I really liked this book. Superman Reborn was super thrilling. I really liked it, and I really liked the ending. The ending was exactly what I expected, and here come the spoilers. Basically, what has happened is at the creation of the New 52, which we believe to be Dr. Manhattan from the Watchmen comic book, possibly, right? So during the creation of the New 52, somehow Superman was split into 2 because the Superman pre-Flashpoint survived through the Convergence event with Lois Lane. They had a kid. That's where Jonathan Kent comes from. They survived the Convergence event and lived secretly in the New 52 along with the New 52 Superman. And I was telling everybody at the shop, why are there not 2 Batman? Why are there not 2, when the New 52 turned the former heroes, like the pre-Flashpoint characters, became the New 52 versions, so how was there another Superman if the Superman was pulled out? It was because he was split into 2. And they used the whole red and blue energy. It's a throwback to some old school stories, and the electric Superman, the red and blue from the 90s, so that was really cool. But basically, the story ended with the love that they have for Jonathan Kent, Lois, and by the way, Lois was split into 2 as well, and that was the energy that was released that went into Lana and Lois Lane, and they became Superwoman, right? So that's what was up with that. And the red energy, the pre-Flashpoint Superman had blue energy, and Lois had blue energy and the red energy, and now they are recombined into one through the love of Jonathan Kent and all that stuff. The power of love, the power of Superman, the power of all of that stuff, right? So because now that these 2, the enigmatic Mr. Oz shows up and says, I didn't think this was possible. I don't even think he thought this was possible. Is he talking about Dr. Manhattan? Possibly. A lot of people think Mr. Oz is Ozymandias from The Watchmen, who, of course, was kind of against the others in that book. But don't forget that Joe Osterman is Dr. Manhattan's civilian identity in The Watchmen, so it could go either way, though I will say the Mr. Oz logo looks a lot like the Nostalgia cologne or perfume logo from The Watchmen, so look out for that. I'm really excited about all of this stuff, guys, the Dr. Manhattan stuff, all that. Anyway, so Mr. Oz is talking about he did it, what was once 2 is now 1, and basically alluding to now that existence will start rewriting itself around the shared history of these 2 Supermen. So you have New 52 Superman and the Superman before, their histories converging once again, and all of existence is going to realign with this. So now we have another reality shift at DC Comics, and I really like it, and I think it's super cool, and I think it's going to ripple out, and we're going to start seeing some things, and I think we started seeing them this week. Also, at the end of that book, when Mr. Oz is talking, they do a close-up of the planet Mars, which in the Watchmen story is where Dr. Manhattan goes off for a while to chill out and just get away from humanity and all of that stuff, and where he decides maybe to create new life and experiment with universes and all that stuff. So maybe that's an allusion. Obviously, it's an allusion to Dr. Manhattan. I mean, they haven't come right out and said Dr. Manhattan or Ozymandias, but it's so heavy-handed. It seems like it's just so, I don't know. But is that a red herring? I don't know, and I'm very excited to find out. One book where we saw some ramifications of this is Flash number 19. Flash has been really good lately. Joshua Williamson has been writing it. Carmine DiGiandomenico has been doing the artwork, which I think is fantastic. Jesus Marino helps out on the artwork on this issue. But it wraps up the story, but at the very, very end, there's this blue flash of energy, and I want to say that I want to recollect that somewhere in the Action Comics, when all that stuff was going on, it was Blue Energy too, and in the other comic we're going to talk about, the Hal Jordan book. So this energy hits Reverse Flash and Zoom, Professor Zoom actually, Zoom Reverse Flash in particular. The last time we saw him, there was a new 52 Zoom, had a completely different costume, and he wound up captured in Iron Heights, and that's the Zoom that we're seeing. Then we see the flash of light and lightning, and then all of a sudden there is classic Zoom, the Reverse Flash, with the yellow costume and all that stuff. And he references remembering being killed by Thomas Wayne, who was Batman, in Flashpoint. So Reverse Flash is back, and there you go. He remembers Flashpoint. Is this somehow reality now realigning itself because of the Superman? I absolutely think so. And then you go to the Hal Jordan book, number 19. Now, I have not been reading Hal Jordan and the Green Lantern Corps since like issue 6 or 7, something like that. So I was like, don't really quite understand what was going on, but I know that White Lantern, Kyle Rayner, somehow it seems like he's trying to rebirth the Blue Lantern Corps, because at the beginning of his run, Robert Venditti, who was the writer of this book, kind of destroyed the Blue Lantern Corps, and that was kind of terrible. So Saint Walker survives, and they're trying to use Kyle's powers to rebirth Hope, to rebirth the Blue Lanterns. And somebody out there, and so if you're looking at the idea of the Watchmen and Dr. Manhattan in particular, messing with the history of the DC universe and taking away hope and optimism and legacy, right? So this is very symbolic of that with the Blue Lanterns. So they're trying to rebirth it, and then all of a sudden some flash of energy happens, and I think they make a reference to he, like he's interfering. Could it be him? Something like that. Maybe a reference to Dr. Manhattan. Absolutely, I think. Kyle's White Lantern ring then splits into all 7 of the different emotional spectrum rings, and of course he gets the green ring back and becomes the Kyle Rayner Green Lantern that we know from back in the Ron Mars, Darryl Banks day when he first appeared in the 90s, bringing back that idea of legacy and history and the shared history with the pre-Flashpoint Superman. Is this once again maybe a ripple effect of that? Absolutely. And is the fact that they were stopped because the Guardians, I think Ganthet says, this is impossible. No one's ever been able to stop the resurrection. And I think it's the resurrection of hope, but I'm a little vague on that because I haven't been following the book. But it feels to me like it's symbolic of they're trying to rebirth hope, and something's trying to stop that. And that something might be Dr. Manhattan. So those are 3 books, some major DC Rebirth updates this week, guys. It's about to really hit into gear. More on Reverse Flash and the upcoming Button story, the Batman Flash crossover. Super excited for that, guys. Let me know down in the comments below, what are your theories? What did you think of these books? What did you think of the revelations? Are you liking this slow burn that we're getting? Because I'm loving it. I'm loving that they're taking their time to build the story and letting other stories just exist within this mystery, and I just absolutely love it. Let me know what you think down below, and any other theories that you might have, things that you picked up that I didn't. I love talking to you guys about comics down in the comments below. Thank you so much for checking out this video. Please do like, share, and subscribe. We do a weekly comic book review every single week. We also got a podcast, blogs, all that stuff and more can be found at popculturephilosophers.com. Thank you guys so much for checking us out. I'm Rockin Robbie Billups. Thanks for rocking with us, and keep reading.